Hello, good morning, good day, good evening, good afternoon, Happy New Year, season's greetings, all pleasantries and formalities extended and observed. This is Quinn, and welcome to All Things Quinn. This is the first episode of the podcast, and I am super excited. Happy. I just want to say in advance, thanks for everyone. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the love and support that you all send my way, and I hope that I will be able to reciprocate it and somehow pay you all back for this, because in hindsight, all the love that you all show to me, I don't think that is ever possible that I'll be able to repay it. All I could do is give my all in order to try to repay it. I am already talking too much. But before we get into it, as you all may know, I am Quentin. For those of you who don't know, I am Quentin. Some of my nicknames include, and it's not that I would not hold back, because I feel as though this relationship would work. Relationship being as in me speaking, you are listening and giving feedback, and a conversation as a result of this relationship would work if you all get to know me and understand me better. I feel that is how the relationship would work. So some of my nicknames include Q, Quinn, Quint. I think Tishel calls me Queenie. Other nicknames that aren't coming to me at the moment. Yes, but those are some of my nicknames, right? I am 21 years of age. Chances I'll be 21 for the next 21 years, because a king never ages. Yeah, I graduated with a degree in psychology from the University of the Southern Caribbean. I am from a small twin island in the Caribbean named Trinidad and Tobago, more specifically the western part of Trinidad being Diego Martin. I have some ties to the central community along with some ties to the southern community, that is being in Trinidad and Tobago. My father lives in Central. My cousin and her family, they live in South Trinidad. So yeah, what else is there that I could say about me? I like to sing, I like to write, I like to teach. I have a love for psychology. I have a greater love for music, a greater love for people, for God. Um, just understanding, knowing, growing, having fun, laughing, talking pure rubbish, and talking like a lot of inspirational things. Probably I should say that I am the personification of confusion. I believe that I may be the most confusing person that anybody would ever meet, because on one end, I am very sociable, for lack of better terminology. I like to interact with others. Sometimes I like to be in the company of others. I like to spend time with others, do stuff for others, just basically be with others. And then it's a two-sided coin, because most times I feel like I really don't like people, but I feel as though this is how we could set it out. I like the people that I like and the people that I love, and everybody else is like, I could get to like you, I could get to know you, but that is a process. And before the process is initiated, it's like, okay, I'm not trying to sound terrible, but I reckon that I'm introverted and extroverted, like almost the perfect blend. I would say more extroverted than introverted, because I have my days, but yes. So I suppose that we will get to learn more about each other as time goes along. You will get to learn more about me, and as you all get to learn more about me, I will get to learn more about you all. Yes, so all things Quinn. All Things Quinn is a movement, a platform, just a place, just a concept, just something that I want to use to voice my opinions, the opinions of my friends and family, and possibly some other persons. We're not too sure what tomorrow holds, but we'll take that step when we get there. Yeah, so this is a platform by which I want to try to better the people, and more importantly, myself, but the people who are going to be listening to these episodes. I want to try to bring about conversations that I think that is necessary to have. I feel that it's important to have certain conversations. And while talking is just talking, I feel conversations spark and inspire certain things and certain movements. And that inspiration and that spark is necessary to inspire the actions. Why am I being redundant? To inspire actions which would bring about change. Yeah, that is the goal. All Things Quinn would be a source of inspiration. It would be a source of humor, a source of reflection. Like, this is a new year, and I repeat to myself, but this is a new year, and I know that for the new year, a lot of people like to make New Year's resolutions. We like to think about change and betterment, but I want that feeling that is innate within the time and season to be present throughout the year. I want us to be self-conscious throughout the year. I want us to be inspired, to be motivated for all 12 months of this year and for the decade to come, for the century to come. I pray that we would have health and strength, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to see those times, to live and to thrive amidst those times. Okay, now I'm speaking. I feel like I'm speaking too fast. You'll probably know this, but I speak a lot. I speak very quickly sometimes, and I'm very expressive. And this is audio. For future reference, we would have like video files and stuff that we're going to upload to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, the works. But as of now, you can see the hand gestures and the facial expressions. Trust me, they're priceless. So yeah, so that is All Things Quinn. Yeah, I want it to be a place where people could come to for inspiration, a place where people could come to laugh, to relax, just to think about certain things. It's like, I remember having certain conversations with various different friends, even family members, people from my home, which is quote unquote the church. I remember having these conversations, and I just wish that I could share these conversations with the world. And the world in its entirety is a huge place. And I want to start somewhere, and I believe that All Things Quinn is the place to start. I like to talk, and the conversations, they're so necessary. I can't stress it enough, and I know this is like the 10th, maybe 12th time that I'm saying how important these conversations are, but it just goes to show that the conversations are important. So yeah, as I said before, or as aforementioned, I will be doing the episodes, the recordings, the tapings with multiple different people. I have a line or roster of people who I am planning on recording episodes with, who I have recorded episodes with, talking about different things, talking about stuff like depression, new beginnings, talking about education, talking about stigmatizations, just things that are going to inspire, things that are going to spark some sort of intellectual conversation. And not only intellectual, because not everything has to be intellectual, but so long as it touches someone, so long as it inspires someone to change for the better, so long as it causes someone to contemplate upon their lives, maybe the lives of others. So say for instance you listen to this episode and you learn something, and in turn you share it with someone who you think it's necessary to share it with. And now that person's life is impacted because of one conversation. So that is a really important goal. So back to what I was saying. We're going to talk about stuff like depression, domestic violence, sexual harassment, sexual assault, social issues that are near and dear to my heart. They are near and dear to my heart possibly because I had to do a lot of research on these topics, for these topics, during my time at university pursuing my degree. But when I look at individuals in my community, when I look at individuals in my country, when I look at the stuff that is happening in the world, is really, really, really saddening. And I feel as though change could be brought about through education. And as I said before, I'm a teacher, so my go-to thing is trying to educate people, because I feel that when we know better, we do better. So yeah. Yes, so all of those topics are going to be discussed. I am doing this podcast, as I said before. Well, I wouldn't repeat the reasons why I'm doing it before, but I am trying to step into my destiny. I'm trying to evolve, trying to become better. And aside from taking others with me on that journey, I feel it necessary to do for me. I wouldn't attribute the inspiration to do a podcast to spiritual reasons. Maybe it should have been more spiritual. Maybe should have prayed about it per se. But I remember the ending of 2019. I'm like, I need to do better, to be better in 2020. And I am a person that lives in the here and now. Tomorrow isn't promised, tomorrow isn't guaranteed to anyone. Yes, you have faith and you live in faith that you would see tomorrow and that you would strive to be better and do better for tomorrow. But tomorrow really isn't promised to anyone. But yes, I wanted to be better. And so I said I need to, because I talk a lot and because of the conversations that I have with certain people, I need to have a platform to share this. And it is therapeutic for me to talk. It's therapeutic for me to listen. And so I hope that others could find that as well. So, with all of that being said, welcome to All Things Quinn. I hope that you all look forward to, because I am certainly looking forward to a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of reflection. We're trying to stay clear of the drama, so hopefully we don't have any issues, no beef, because we're not about that life. So we're trying to stay clear of the drama and all of that, but I hope that this is entertaining and mostly inspirational for you all. I hope that you'll listen and you'll contemplate, and not only that, you'll share it with others, because withheld information or withheld knowledge is wasted knowledge. It don't make sense you learning and growing and the people that you love and care about is left behind. The people that you love and care about are left behind. Since I've been on vacation, my English going. to the dogs. But it is what it is. Yes. So the importance of new beginnings, introductions, learning about new things, meeting new people. I thoroughly like to meet new people. I remember I said before that I don't really like people per se, but I like to meet new people. The process of getting to know someone and that person moving from an acquaintance to a friend to a best friend to family, like that is really, really beautiful in its entirety. It could be exhausting because as I said, I am very sociable and I know and interact with a lot of people. I consider a lot of people friends, best friends, family. And so it is beautiful when it works, and when it doesn't work, it could be discouraging, it could be despairing. But we ought not to let the actions and inactions of others dictate our actions. We mustn't allow what other people do to define us. Because it's not about what happens, but it's about how you deal with what happens. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that it makes sense. Yeah, so I feel as though I shouldn't list people that has made people that I met who made a difference in my life, because I know that, like, I don't want to leave anybody out, and I feel like if I list one, I'm going to have to list all, and I don't think we have enough time to list out all 20, maybe 30 of these people. And I am very forgetful, so chances I'm going to forget somebody and I'm going to end up in hot water and it's not gonna be fun. So I I wouldn't name names specifically, but I have met people who inspire me, people who encourage me, people who believed in me more than I believed in myself then, and I didn't understand the importance of believing in yourself. And through meeting these people, I saw the importance, and now having believe in myself, comparing me believing in myself and the things that I am capable of, as opposed to me not believing in myself and thinking and guessing and trying to accomplish things that I didn't believe that I could accomplish. Yeah, like that makes sense. So, like, meeting new people should open you up to new experiences. It is important to have new experiences, as that is the way we grow. We can't grow by doing the things that we are only comfortable with. It would be just repeating the same thing over and over. Is going to become like a schedule, and it's going to be so stoic and monotonous. You see my English going to the dogs? I need to start back reading. But yes. When you meet new people, it's supposed to show you different perspectives, because we ought not to have friends that are identical to us. We don't want carbon copies of ourselves. Yes, it's nice to have a relationship with someone where you all are on the same level, where you all think alike, and where you all see eye to eye on basically everything, where you'll basically have it just like ring and finger. That is really nice, but I have learned from experience that those are friendships that you revel in and you love them, yes, but the friendships where you are able to disagree with someone but still be respectful of them, still understand their perspective, and still have them understand your perspective without getting disrespectful. Because this is breaking news, listen carefully. A lot of people do not know that you could disagree with the points or the perspective of someone and something, and still respect that person and their belief. For some people, if you disagree with the perspective of someone, then automatically you have an issue with that person, and disrespect and belittling, um, and all these things come into play. You start to be condescending towards the individual and just downright dirty towards the person. Yeah? And that is not the case. You don't have to go to such extremes in order to agree to disagree. Like, it is possible to agree to disagree on the points and the perspectives, but yet still respect the person. A lot of people don't understand that. And I have a lot of friends, family, best friends who we don't see eye to eye. I feel like I have like this one. I feel like I have 3 to 5 friends who are identical to me in terms of the things that we think, the way we think, what we think about certain things. It's almost identical. And the rest of my friends, like, we be disagreeing on most things. And to me, that is very, very, very interesting, intriguing. Is like, I, not that I like to disagree, but I like to have a healthy and stimulating conversation where it's not just like, and this happened, and yeah, and yes, me too. You would, oh my God, that is fun. I feel like that is fun for most nonchalant things, but other than that, when it comes to having a serious conversation, to me that is get sickening. It's okay, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing that you agree on some things, but it's just like, you can't tell me two different people agree on every single. Then what is the point of the conversation? Because if we are basically speaking from what we know, and both of us know the same thing, both of us coming from the same place, then neither of us stand to learn anything. Yeah? So it's about learning and growing. Like, our differences teach us. And the process is lost because we let our differences divide us when they are supposed to teach us and inspire us. Yeah? But it is what it is, and I mean, I ain't gonna try to save the world in one podcast. Well, at least not one episode. Hopefully, I've been told that I have the God complex, and that is not me being blasphemous or anything. I suppose it's an inside joke, and hopefully the person is listening to this episode, they would get it. But I've been told that I have the God complex, and possibly after one season of this podcast, All Things Quinn, I might be able to save the world. Who knows? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. I might be able to save the world. No, I'm not saying that I'm going to save the world. I'm not hanging my hat where I can't reach, although I probably should in a year, because it's about walking in faith. Let everything be done by faith. I'm still not saying I'm going to save the world. I would try to save as many people as I could, and I using the word save lacklusterly. I hope that you all understand what it is I'm saying. When I say save, I mean inspire people to change, and change for the better. Yeah, because each one teach one, and if I grow and you grow, then that is positive change. That is an act of saving the world in my perspective. Yeah, so for me, that is the importance of meeting new people. You gaining new experiences, um you getting to learn and grow with the person. Now, not all growth is positive growth, and that is sort of a paradox in itself. Just meaning that it is contrasting, because growth supposed to be positive, at least the connotation of growth is positive because, okay, we have literary devices that are connotation and denotation, and they adhere to diction, right? Diction being the use of words, connotation being the added meaning given to a word. For example, we have this thing in Trinidad and the Caribbean where we like to say, all man is dog. Evidently, it seems that, oh Lord, they're going to crucify me for this because I feel like sometimes I'm guilty of being quote unquote a dog in the sense of it. I try not to, but we all have our faults. So, they say all men are dogs. Evidently, it seems as though the majority of men are quote unquote dogs. And they don't mean a furry, four-legged mammal that barks with a tail. They don't mean it in the literal sense. There is an added meaning to the word. And even that in itself is contradicting because dogs are some of the most loyal animals, but we're not here to dissect that, right? So that is the connotative meaning of the word, whereas the denotative meaning of the word would be the actual dog. So the denotation would be in the literal sense, and the connotation would be in the sense of the word where an added meaning is put to it. And I really can't remember what I was saying before I went into connotation and denotation. I feel like I teach in an English class all over again, and I am on vacation at least until next week. So what was I saying? I really can't remember what I was saying, and I'm so ashamed. So I remember what I was saying, and I was saying that growth, the connotation of growth is positive, whereas the denotation of growth is any movement from one point to another. So you could move from point B to point A, or you could move from point 2 to point 1, which would be a negative movement or movement backwards. But it would still be considered quote unquote growth because it's still the movement from one point to another. So we are to align ourselves, or try to align ourselves with people who would take us from point A to B and from B to C, instead of people who are going to take us from D to A. And fickle as we may be in humans, we can't control basically anything. There are a limited amount of things that we can actually control. So we may not be able to control the people that we meet and the relationship that we have with those individuals. So we might meet somebody, they might seem pleasant, they might seem nice, we get into a friendship, relationship, or whatever it is with them, and we realize after the fact that this friendship or relationship wasn't working. This friendship and relationship took me from D back to A, whereas I was hoping that the friendship or relationship would have taken me from D to X or Z. Yeah, but even in that sense where we moved backwards, as I said before, it's not about what happens, but it's how we deal with what happens. So even in that aspect where we move from point D back to point A, we ought to maneuver through A all the way back to D and continue moving forward. Yeah, we ought to be resilient. We ought to use discernment in order to get back up when you fall. It is important that we continue moving on, because the only constant in life is change. And God, that is my belief. Yeah? So we ought to continue moving forward. And even within continuously moving forward and learning and changing and growing, it's important to share the lessons that we learn along the way. Yeah? Because I can't stress this enough. We ought to be the help, the light, the inspiration, the change, the motivation for the people around us. Because not because we may have had to struggle and muddle through everything on our own, and in hindsight we're truly not alone because God is always with us. We always have that entity, and I'm not reducing God to an entity, but for lack of better terminology, we always have that entity that is ever present, that is with us, and that helps us through every situation. But not because we had to quote and unquote muddle through certain situations on our own, means that we ought to allow the people around us to do the same. Yes, certain things we have to learn on our own, certain fights, certain battles we have to go through on our own. But there are certain ones that we ought to seek help for. There are certain ones that we ought to help others with. I don't know if that making sense. So yeah. One more thing that I have to say before we close is that is about new beginnings. Sometimes like stuff happens, and mostly we are taught to believe that unpleasant things happen and we need a new beginning, or hence comes a new beginning. But new beginnings can be results of pleasant things happening. Yeah, as in somebody getting married, or they got married. That is a new beginning. They are on the road to beginning a family. Yeah, they are on the road of making memories, being in love, all of that good stuff. But new beginnings, what does new beginnings mean to me? Cause I am a person that I expel all of my time, energy, and love into everything, every single thing that I do. I need to put my all into it. And sometimes I feel as though that is a flaw of mine, or maybe even my Achilles heel. But most times I feel as if that is a really good thing. But I put my everything into everything. And so for me, most times starting over is not an option. And I feel like sometimes that is a bad thing. Because I don't like to start over. I would quicker try to fix or rebuild or repaint something that has it has been broken or something. I would try to repair it as opposed to trying to start over. I don't like to start over, and that is because I put everything into it, and it's not an option for it to not work. Like that isn't an option. It is an option for me, so is a no. But yeah, I understand that. Now I understand. As we say, our experiences is our best teacher. And experience taught me that it is, one, okay to start over, and two, is necessary to start over at times. Because no matter how much time and energy, no matter if you put in 1,010% of your time, energy, and love into something, if it isn't meant to be, if it isn't working, you have to let go and start over. So I feel as though I'm growing into liking new beginnings. I really hope that I don't have to have a lot of new beginnings, because it's like nobody really have time for that. So yeah, I am beginning to like it. It's a matter of it isn't as bad as I thought, and yes, I might be saddened over all my time and energy and love going to waste. But is it, or has it really gone to waste? If, because I believe if you put everything into something, if you put all your love, time, and energy into something and it doesn't work, you walk out unblemished, because you know at the end of the day you gave your own, maybe to your own detriment, because sometimes tough love is necessary. uh I feel like on one hand I'm really good at tough love, and then on the other hand is like I really suck at that. And as aforementioned, I am very confusing. Confusion personified. This is what confusion looks like. If you've seen my face, you'd know what confusion looks like. So yeah, but that is part of my belief. Like if everything goes into it, if I know that I did everything that I can, I know that I went above and beyond, then most of the blame isn't on me. I would, because I'm a quote unquote nice person, I would take like 5% of the blame, whereas 95% would be on you. Cause like I led in love, I was understanding, I was compassionate, I was present, and I was there. And maybe you didn't appreciate it, maybe the timing was off, maybe it wasn't meant to be, and it didn't work out. It is no fault of mine per se. So yeah, so starting over, like new beginnings, could be really. I know that some people like to, like, I would say that mostly females do this. They would like cut their hair. They say if a woman cuts and dye her hair, she over your your chances, your options is like, nope, those were the days. That would be a memory that you will forever hold on to. She done. So females would do those things in order, well, not in order to, but as a result of, like, by actions of, yeah. So they cut their hair, they would dye it, and like that is a representation of the new beginning. Some people would take tattoos, piercings. Some people would move to new places. Some people change their numbers. Some people start to go to church. Some people stop go to church. They pick up hobbies. They lay off of hobbies. And as I said before, change or growth could go both ways. It could be positive change, positive growth, or negative change and negative growth. We ought to stay centered and stay present and use discernment to know when we're heading in the positive direction versus heading in the negative directions. Because sometimes we meet people and they start to bring out the worst in us, and we are not present in ourselves enough to recognize what is happening. Because I always say that I'm becoming very philosophical and the quote, but I always say that love needs a point to start, and that point should be with you. If you don't love yourself, then in my mind it is impossible to love anyone or anything if you do not have that sense of self-love. Yeah? And so if you do not love yourself, you can't, and you claim to love others that are bringing out the worst in you, basically you're on a path of self-destruction. Because you don't love yourself, you cannot demonstrate love in its purest form and the way it should be to the person or thing that you claim to love. And so it's an entire waste, because love isn't actually present. Like, your idea and your concept of love might be present, but in all honesty, like, what love actually is may not be there. And I understand that. I'm beginning to, and I understand that A lot of people do not know what love is, what love looks like, what love feels like, what it should be. And I've been told I'm very quixotic, I'm very idealistic, but for me, 1 and 1 is 2. You can't tell me 2 plus 1 equals to 2 and expect me to accept it. If 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 or equivalent to 2, then I expect to see 1 plus 1 being equal or equivalent to 2. Don't bring an equation where 3 and 2 equals 2. Like, that is not what it is for me. You could call it that. That is fine with you. I respect your perspective. We would agree to disagree. But I know and I believe that the equation isn't balanced. The equation isn't accurate. And so it would never, in my mind, be accurate. So in terms of me being idealistic and all of that, it's like, I understand why it would seem so. I really, really understand why it would seem so. And even sometimes I'd be like, oh, but it is what it is. So don't allow yourself to be in situations where people bring out the worst in you and you're not able to see that the worst in you is being brought out. You're not able to use discernment to say, well, something is wrong here. Yeah? It's really important because I remember, I feel like I was a child back then. I probably shouldn't talk about this because, cancel culture. For those of you who don't know what cancel culture is where society as a whole decides to cancel somebody, and like, am I even quote unquote famous? Like, can I be cancelled? It's like, you never know until you're cancelled. But is where, like, say for instance, R. Kelly and all of his legal issues and what he is going through with his sexual assault and rape and child molestation charges, all of those things that he's currently facing before, although all of those things that all of those things that he's currently facing, all his legal issues and legal troubles before the court, but society on a whole has decided to cancel him, where it is no longer socially acceptable to listen to his music, to play or promote his music. They basically deem him irrelevant to a certain extent. And for the little following that I have, I'm not trying to get cancelled, now that you all understand what cancel culture is. But where was I going? You see, I talk so much, I even confuse myself, so I hope that you're all able to keep up, because Lord help us all. Chris Brown and Rihanna. I remember sometime I was like, this is way back when, before I was 21 for 3 years, because I'm 21 for 3. Well, for one, you see, time is irrelevant to me. I'm going to be 21 for as long as I can. But yeah, Rihanna and Chris Brown, this happened when I was younger. I think most of us know about the dispute that they had that turned physical. And from what I understand, from what I heard, because I haven't done much research on the topic, mainly because when it happened I was younger, and now that I'm older, it never occurred to me that I should research it. But definitely I'll do the research after this. But let's say, hypothetically, this is what happened. They were in a relationship, Rihanna and Chris Brown, and they were fairly young, and an incident happened where it is alleged that he was trying to get his car keys from her. I think they maybe went out, they maybe went to Lime, had a few drinks, and there was a disagreement that turned into an altercation, and he ended up being physically abusive towards her. And from my understanding, from what I know, she never spoke much about it. The little that I know of it is that the fact that she didn't really say much about it, and there were reports that she was quote unquote abusive towards him, and even insane quote unquote is sort of hypocritical because men can be abused as well. I know a number of men who has been physically abused, and like try to understand that men could be physically abused as well. And this is a conversation for other time, but the way that most men were socialized is that men ought not to hit women. And so where it may be physically possible or physiologically possible that a man could protect and defend himself from physical attacks from a female, if he was socialized in a manner where he ought not to hit or put his hands on a woman and he decides not to, like obviously he might try to flee the situation or he might try to restrain her, but he would not go on the offense. It would be more so defense, and even the defensive actions may be limited to just trying to restrain her and not going into attack mode. It would just be about self-preservation and protecting himself. But females are very capable of being physically abusive towards men. And from my understanding, that was the case in closed door situations. And so what happened in that incident that went viral is that and as I said, hypothetically, and this is my understanding of what has happened, she attacked him and he decided to this was one of maybe many of the occasions that he decided to go on the offense as a result of her actions. And so he faced the consequences of his actions. And I want to say, and as I said, this is hypothetical. So you have two people in a relationship. Hypothetically, she's being physically abusive towards him, and he is on the defense. And then there's this one incident where he goes on the offense as a result of her being abusive, physically abusive towards him. And he had to face up to the consequences of his action for that one time. And I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying about, I'm not trying to speak to what actually happened. I'm speaking hypothetically, and I'm speaking about, or from my perspective and my understanding. If that is the case, hypothetically, then whereas nobody deserves to be physically abused or abused on the whole, he placed and allowed himself to be in a situation where he was constantly physically abused. And now he had to deal, or have to deal with the actions of, he has to face up to the consequences of his actions and inactions. Because the point being, we ought not to place ourselves in situations that would allow for negative growth and negative movement, negative change. Yeah? So he allowed himself to be in a relationship. So this is hypothetically, he is in a relationship with the young lady. The young lady is being physically abusive towards him, and I don't know what's going through his mind, but hypothetically he's saying, well, she may not be like hitting me in a manner that would be painful per se, or I know that she is unable to dominate me physically, so I would have a grasp on the situation when it comes to defending myself. And he neglected to think about what the situation could lead to. So hypothetically, he allowed himself to stay in that situation, and then it came a time where his anger got the best of him and he lashed out, as I keep saying hypothetically, because we ain't trying to get cancelled. At least not in the first podcast. But as I said, when we voice our opinions and our perspectives, and there are others that disagree, we stand a greater chance of learning from the disagreements that we have. So, I'm not saying that I wish people disagree, but if people disagree and they are respectful within agreeing to disagree, then it's fine. And I stand to be corrected if my understanding of this is wrong, and if I offend anybody, I apologize. But hypothetically, he allowed himself to stay in that situation. Then it came to the time where he was unable to manage and control the situation, control his anger, and he acted out, and now he had to face the penance of his actions. And some people might be thinking, well, she was hitting him all the time, and you can't blame him if he acts out. And I blame him. Hypothetically, if that is what happens, I blame him because he allowed himself to be in a situation, to stay in a relationship that could have drove him to do this, to do something so inhumane. He allowed himself to stay in that relationship, to stay in that situation, and those are the consequences of his actions. Hypothetically, no, as I said, people think that I'm quixotic and they think that I'm an idealist. Because of this same thinking, I can't give them wrong. I can't crucify them for my thinking that their thinking is a misconception. I can't crucify them for that. But this young man was in a relationship with this young lady, and this abuse kept happening, and he did not remove himself from the situation. As a result of not moving himself from the situation, there came a time where he lost control, and his actions had consequences, and they still have consequences, hypothetically. But I'm not saying that it is his fault, but what I'm trying to illustrate is the fact that he probably should have been more present in the moment. He probably should have thought about what is happening in the relationship and understand that this is not a place for me to be in, because I cannot be in a relationship and claim say love somebody and this person claims say love me, and they're doing stuff that going to lead me to a place of violence or anger. Like, if I'm in a relationship with you and you trying to anger me, or you doing stuff that is going to anger me, then it's up to me to be present enough to say, sis, doing some things, and like, this is a pathological thing, that this has been happening once, twice, it has been happening over and over, and so I need to remove myself from this situation before X, Y, and Z happen. And I'm not saying that X, Y, and Z will happen or could happen, but who knows? The point is that I need to be present enough to remove myself from this situation so that I won't end up in a place where I am left to face the consequences of my actions because of my inactions, and inactions being any things that we refuse to do. Hypothetically speaking, as a man, if you're in a relationship and your partner, your wife is abusive, your fiance, or whatever, even for the females, like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they are abusive towards you, like, we wouldn't get into domestic violence and abuse and all those things, but if you are present enough, or to try to be present enough as to remove yourself from that situation before you end up doing something that you have to face the consequences for. Because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah, and so the point being, because I feel like I strain plenty, that we ought to have discernment and we ought to be present enough to know when we meet a bad apple. We ought to know to this apple ain't good, rest it back down. Hence from here, Satan, not today. get behind me, whatever it takes. We ought to be present enough. Like, I implore you all to be present enough to know to remove yourself from certain situations. I really wish that I had this knowledge like 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago, because some of the experiences that I have, and I know that this experience shaped the individual that I am now, but I really wish I could go back and spare myself the pain. And I don't want to undercut the experiences that I have, because it's like the person that I am is that something could happen today and I'll be distraught about it, and by the time tomorrow I'll move on and forget it. Yes, there are major events that may affect me for a longer period of time, but most times, like I think somebody told me, if I'm not mistaken, it's my aunt. She always say, like, it's okay to cry. I remember this from my childhood. It's okay to cry, just don't cry for the same thing more than once. Like, let your tears bring you lessons. Learn from them so that when you cry, you know that you are learning, and you know that you never have to cry for this thing again. And I am very emotional. So I even had well, this was something in 2019, a cry day, because, and bear with me here, it wasn't like a day where I would just sit in pity and try to cry. No, I watch a lot of TV, I read a lot, and I believe in growth and development. So I try to watch things that are going to stimulate me, that are going to inspire me to grow and develop. And most instances we learn better from pain. I think, like, most children learn not to play with fire by getting burned. Most times you don't look at fire and say, well, as a child, most times you wouldn't look at fire and think that that is dangerous, I probably shouldn't touch it. No, most times as a child you would run into the fire, and as a result of your pain you would learn. So most times you don't learn from, or in the absence of pain. Or it doesn't even have to be pain, it could just be stuff not going right. Most times you don't learn from that. So it's just like some of the more, I want to say, depressing things, at least for me, I would speak for me, some of the most depressing things teach me, because it's like the shows that I watch, they are insanely depressing, and I feel like I am addicted to them because I learn so much from them. And in that way, I don't even need to experience the pain that the characters have experienced in order to learn the lessons that they have learned. And for me, that is mind-blowing, because this is me saying that most times we learn from our pain, and I am learning without having to experience that said pain. I guess I'm learning from them. I'm learning from their experiences and their pain. Because God help me, these shows, Lord have mercy. So, in summary and conclusion, it is important to meet new people. I think I saw some posts and stuff, and this was for entertainment and for comical reasons and sharings, but somebody was saying something like, Miss Prince Charming isn't going to break through your front door and meet you. You have to get out there and meet new people in order to find the people that ought to be in your life, the people that should be in your life, the people that are coming to teach you lessons, the people that are going to stay in your life. Like, you're not going to learn these things, you're not going to have these experiences by basically sticking to yourself. Yes, some people are going to come and meet you where you are, but it is important that you go and meet people where they are. So get out there, meet new people, and don't put yourself in danger to meet new people. When I say get out there and meet new people, I mean, like, you might be going to school, Try to make a friend, try to talk to somebody and understand that not because you are exerting energy into trying means that it's going to work. Because you might try to talk to somebody and you might try to speak to someone and realize that, or the person might turn you down, the person might react in a negative way. But as we said before, or early on in the episode, we ought not to let the actions of others dictate our actions. We ought not to let what other people do and what other people say control the person and persons that we become. That is how they decide to behave, but that doesn't mean that we have to turn into something dark because they decide to be dark. Like, leave all the darkness to them. Just be resilient enough to take rejection and take negative experiences and leave them behind. Yeah. So yeah, get out there and meet new people. If you're in a situation where you may not want to let go of because you exhausted a lot of energy, time and love into it, understand that new beginnings are not as hard as it seems, and it may not be as bad as you think it is. Yeah, so it took me basically forcibly having to come to a new beginning in order to understand that new beginnings aren't that bad and it wasn't that hard. Understanding or not negating that the experience for other people are going to be different. Sometimes it will be hard, sometimes it will be easy, but that is just how it is. You get what you get and you don't complain. So if you have to make a new beginning, then do so. And I implore you to, and maybe I shouldn't, but I implore you to fight for certain things harder than we are fighting. Because I feel like especially people from my generation and generations after me sometimes we give up on things too easily. But this comes with discernment yet again, because we ought to know what to continue fighting for and what to let go of. And I reckon that we have to do that through prayer. So yeah, thank you all for listening. I talk a lot, and this episode is very long, and this is only the first episode. I hope to see you all in many more episodes. I hope that you all understood everything that I said. I hope that I have inspired someone. I've helped to change somebody's life. Like, even if I helped one person by talking, then I felt as though my mission has been accomplished. Because me speaking in quiet corners and speaking to one person about something and helping them and changing them is good, but I ought to try to do it for many others. And if I could help one person as opposed to no one, if I could help two persons as opposed to one person, then mission accomplished. So you all get out there, you all listen, you all tell me what you all think, you all go to my Facebook page and Instagram page, Facebook and Instagram, send messages, comments, response as to what you all thought, as to what you all want to hear. Yeah, like, let us make it interactive. You all tell me what you all think about new beginnings, tell me what you all think about this venture of mine to start a podcast. Just let me know what you're thinking. Let us have conversations. Hopefully, no, this is hypocritical. Hopefully, you'll understand where I'm coming from, and there isn't much or any backlash. Because as I aforementioned, it's okay to disagree, but we ought to in our disagreements, be respectful of the person while we disagree with their perspectives. Yeah, and you could disagree with someone's perspective or opinion and still respect the person. In hindsight, if you disagree on too many things, then you need to do some introspection as to why am I communicating with this person if I disagree with so much of their fundamental principles. Yeah, that would take some introspection. But once again, Happy New Year, all the best. I hope that this year brings you everything that you need to go out there and to get your dreams, to chase after your dreams. I hope that the spirit of fearlessness that is already innate in you becomes awakened, and that you go out there with the help of God, your friends, your family, the people that are around you, and you fight tirelessly for everything that you want to accomplish. Never, ever, ever give up on any of your dreams. Literally, you can achieve all things, I believe, through Christ whom strengthens you. But you can achieve all things if you believe in yourself enough. And if you have the motivation and the drive, the fight within you to continuously do the work that is necessary to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, then you will accomplish those things. Dreams don't work unless we do. So try every day to do something that is going to help you accomplish your goal, your dreams. Set short-term goals, long-term goals, and think about what needs to be done in order to accomplish those goals and get them done. We're about to be slain in 2020 and for the rest of our lives, basically. Yet again, thank you all for listening. Please feel free to comment, to share, to subscribe, to respond to me, to suggest comments, questions, queries. Send them all my way. And I hope that God give me the strength to continue doing this, because sometimes we do stuff and the concept of it is one thing, and in actuality it is another thing. So I hope that me deciding to use this platform, me sharing with you all my thoughts, perspectives, my point of views, beliefs, I hope that this proves fruitful for everyone. So I'm gonna stop talking now. It is official, I have talked. Thank you all for listening. Have a pleasant day, and I will see you the Sunday after next. Bye.